What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the new Polaris Pro R. Is it a game changer? Does it beat the X3? And is it a new machine that you guys should purchase? So if you're new to the channel, we do a lot of side-by-side UTV install, riding, and review videos. And it's free to join. Subscribe down below and make sure you like this video if you like what you hear and what you see. And let me know if you guys are looking into buying a new Pro R or Turbo R. So let's talk about the machines. The Pro R is all redesigned from the ground up, with the exception of the plastics that are pretty much borrowed from the Pro XP. But the frame, the suspension, the engine, the trans, everything has been redesigned, and a lot of new components, a lot of beefier components that make this machine really stout and make it a real contender when it comes to off-road racing and beating the others on the market. So let's talk about the specs just a little bit. The differences between the Pro R and Turbo R. I'm sure you guys have already looked online and seen a lot about these machines, but we'll give you guys a quick rundown on what we're seeing and why these things are such a big deal. So the new Pro R is a 74-inch machine, as well as the Turbo R, but they do have some differences. One is being the wheelbase. The wheelbase on the Pro R, I believe, is 103 inches or 104 inches, 104.5, and the Turbo R is 96, so one shorter than the other. So the front suspension is identical, but the rear suspension is changed a little bit for that wheelbase. So the trailing arm is longer on the Pro R, and I believe the shock length might be a little bit different. I'm not 100% on that, but there are some differences. So the Pro R has a longer wheelbase, which is gonna be great for those whoops, for that off-road terrain, Hollow Nass and Baja. So that's cool, two different wheelbases, which is really nice to have depending on what you might be using it for. Trails on the East Coast, Glamis on the West Coast, Baja, whatever it may be. And we'll touch on the suspension in just a second because it is a big deal. But let's talk about the other reason why they are very, very different, which is the powertrain. On the Turbo R, you have the 1-liter tried and true turbo engine that has been in the, Turbo XP, the Turbo S, the Pro XP, and that engine has been, what they've used for a really long time. The new engine in the Pro R is a 2-liter, no turbo, no boosties, it's naturally aspirated, but again, it's a 2-liter engine, 4-cylinder. Whoops. So a new 4-cylinder engine, they doubled the size of the motor. 1-liter, 2-cylinder on the Turbo R, now 4-cylinder, 2-liter on this new Pro R. So that's a significant difference. Because of this new engine, the engine is actually mounted from front to back. So the transmission is also in a different orientation, and so is the CVT. The CVT on the Pro R is behind the driver. It's no longer on the side, traditionally like on the other UTVs. So the packaging for the engine and trans is very different. The CVT is very different. The clutches are bigger on the Pro R. The drivetrain is all completely new. New front differential. The drive shafts are a lot bigger. There's supposed to be a limiter clutch in the transmission on the Pro R to limit spikes to help, from damaging your front differential. You also have a proprietary or, unique to the Pro R rear differential, and there's a drive shaft driving that from the transmission. The Turbo R doesn't have that. It still has a traditional setup that you find in the Turbo S. So they are very different when it comes to the engine packaging. So on the Turbo R, everybody's talking about this engine. 2 liters, I mean, everybody's making a big deal out of it, and they should. It's a big jump, and there's a lot of potential there for power. Now, I don't think this is a game changer. The power plant being 2 liters is great, but it is a 12.5-to-1 compression ratio, which means throwing a turbo on this thing, probably is not gonna like it. Now, I'm sure all the aftermarket's gonna do all sorts of crazy stuff, swap the pistons out for some dish ones, lower the compression, throw a snail on it, and throw the boosties to the moon. But not everybody's gonna want to do that. You want to play with what you have, and I'm sure a lot of guys are gonna do tunes with E85, maybe get it around the 300 horsepower mark. That would be nice. But as far as game changing, I don't think so. The engine behind me on the X3 is still one of the most potent engines out there, and I think it's gonna stay that way unless Polaris comes out with their turbo version, years from now. I'm assuming that power plant could make north of 300 horsepower from OEM, which is crazy. And that's another thing I want to point out in this video, how crazy these machines have gotten, but we'll get there. So 2-liter engine, it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I don't think it's a game changer, but I do think it's good for the industry to change it up. Everybody has a 1-liter engine on their machines, and maybe we need to grow out of that and see where it goes from there. Is it too much for the average consumer? We'll talk about that at the end of the video. So back to the suspension. Turbo R and Pro R, like I said, has some differences. Mainly it's the rear trailing arm and the suspension travel numbers. So both cars have 22.25 inches of travel on the front. And then in the back they have, I believe, like 2 inches of difference, one being 22 and the other one being 24.5. You know, Polaris is claiming 29 inches of usable travel. I don't know what that means, and I don't really care. It's got 24 inches of travel, 24.5 in the rear. So, I mean, leading the industry, because I think the Can-Am is in that area, if not a little bit less. So it's definitely, you know, something that's going to be one of the top dogs out there when it comes to racing and just, you know, recreational sports. So it is a badass machine, no doubt about it. What I do want to talk about and what I do feel is game changing, like I said, I don't think the engine is, but what I do feel is game changing is the pretty much the build of the machine, what they've done with it, at least what they've said they've done with it. No, I'm going off pictures, I'm going off videos that they posted, Polaris. The chassis is reinforced, supposedly very different than the Pro XP. It's not the same chassis, it's no longer 2-piece, it's a 1-piece design. As well as the suspension. Obviously they got all new suspension. We got 74 inches. We got this new front shock mounted to the lower arm. They're talking about all this reinforcement that's done to the lower arm. Obviously it takes all the load with the shock being mounted to it. We got fully boxed arms and a fully boxed rear arm. Lots of differences from the older machines, and this is supposed to be touted as a very, very strong machine from the OEM, from, you know, out of the box. Other things to note is some of the stuff they changed when it comes to hardware, bearings. It's all been increased by a lot. So these 2 new machines have this new unitized bearing that's supposed to be a lot stronger. It's more OEM grade from the automotive side. I see it a lot on trucks where the bearing is unitized. It's 1 piece. It houses the bearing, the actual hub, and the studs all in one. Other things that appear to have changed is the size of all the ball joints and radial joints. So in some of the videos that Polaris showed off, the radial joints and the ball joints are touted as being a lot larger than previous models. Also the hardware, instead of using M12 hardware, they upgraded to M14, which is again bigger hardware, stronger hardware. It's gonna take more of a beating. So I'm really excited to see this in person. I haven't yet, but it looks very, very stout. So I think that's the game changer, and I'm gonna tell you guys why right now. So bigger bearings, bigger ball joints, bigger radial joints, bigger arms, boxed arms, stronger arms, larger hardware, stronger frame, everything that this car doesn't have. So when you guys talk about an X3, for example, and I'm not too much of a Turbo S guy, so I don't want to, you know, say or speak out of terms here. When it comes to an X3, a lot of guys think they can throw 35s on that machine and be just fine. And you really aren't. Even if you upgrade to, you know, aftermarket arms, and you know, aftermarket ball joints, your hub is screaming. On 35s, if you're trying to go off-roading, trying to go to King of the Hammers, or you're trying to go on the roughest of roughest terrain, that hub is screaming. The hub is tiny on the Can-Am X3. The ball joints are probably screaming. They don't want to be in that situation. It's a lot of load for the size of components that are on the machine, and I'm sure the Turbo S is in that area. This new Pro R with all this upgraded hardware, I guarantee you guys are gonna throw 35s on this and take it out in Baja, and maybe, you know, maybe take some podium finishes out there with this new Pro R. If you think about it, you might be able to throw 37s. When a manufacturer comes out with 37-inch tires that are made for UTV, they're light, that is gonna make a big difference when trying to crawl over the rocks during the King of the Hammers, or whatever it may be. Yes, it may take some power away from it, but if you can stay over the bigger stuff, the bigger terrain, because you have bigger tires, that is gonna make a huge difference. And if the machine has all these upgraded components that can handle this this size tire, I think that's a game changer. Yes, the machine's heavier. I think the 2C is what, like 2,200 pounds or something like that? That is way heavier than a 2C X3. But can you put 37s or 35s on an X3? I don't think so. And don't get me wrong, 37s might be a little bit of a stretch, but I'm pretty sure, just based off what I'm seeing, 35s are gonna be no problem. And with that said, I know we've seen in the King of the Hammers, a lot of the X3s running the Rockzillas and 35s. I'm sure they have all the best stuff though. I'm talking about billet hubs, you know, probably no longer running ball joints, they're running uniballs. But I don't think you can do that on a stock machine. And if you could do that on a Pro R stock machine, throw 35s on it and have a freaking blast and not have to worry about the suspension falling apart, I think that's huge. Now, what everybody's saying is the machines look really big. So yes, they're 74 inches, which is only a few inches more than the Turbo S. But they're tall machines, they're wider machines, they're longer machines, and that's where we're going, it seems like, with these UTVs. They're becoming more than just a side-by-side. They're no longer golf carts, which I'm sure people will still call them golf carts, but now you're talking about 2-liter engine, wheelbase that's a lot longer. You're talking about a machine that is a lot bigger, and we're gonna have issues fitting them in our toy haulers, fitting them on our trailers, but ultimately the whole industry will adapt to the machines, and these are going to be the new standard. Can-Am is assuming to have an answer. Speed UTV, which is the only other machine I can think of with a turbocharged engine with wide suspension, long travel, when it comes out, that is an answer because it's 77 inches wide. But right now, it seems like Pro R is going to be first to the market, and it's going to be the new standard for off-road racing and off-road suspension. Is it better than the X3? We can go back and forth on this all day. It's on the Facebook forum, it's on the Instagram comments. People are going back and forth. The Can-Am has a better power to weight ratio, I'm sure. It can make more power with a few tunes. And yeah, I agree with that. And if you're going to Glamis, I think the X3 2-seat is probably still a better option. Run E85 on a stock 2020, 2021, and you're making 250 horsepower. The Pro R, I don't know if you could do that even if you run a tune, even assuming they come out with that, you know, Evo or Wayland or any of those guys. Assuming they come out with a tune and they run E85 or upgraded 100 octane, is it going to be reliable and is it going to make that amount of power? You know, I don't know. That's yet to be seen. I'm excited to see what the aftermarket comes up with for those machines. But I don't think in the engine department it tops the X3, and that says a lot about the BRP engine. 1 liter, 3 cylinders, and you know, a lot of guys are getting 350 horsepower out of a stock block. No upgrading the internals except for putting some head studs in there. So that's pretty huge for a 1 liter engine. Will Can-Am have an answer to the RZR? There's a lot of rumors of, yes, they already have an answer. They've been waiting. When that will come out, you know, who knows, but it's very exciting to see, and honestly, kudos to Polaris, because it's going to push all the manufacturers to step up their game and make a better machine, so we all win in the end. But we also lose, because one thing I didn't touch on, and I really wasn't going to talk about it because I'm not really the guy that's going to talk about a whole bunch of specs and pricing and colors. But pricing, that's where we're not going to win. We're going to lose on the pricing, but not really. So let me explain a little bit. The Pro R starts around 32, which is pretty huge. They go up from there. A 4-seat launch edition is like $45,000, which is crazy, but it is a 4-seat launch edition with audio system and a bunch of perks. So there's 3 models. I think there's the Sport, the Premium, and the Ultimate. And then there's also an Ultimate Launch Edition, which are special colors, which is cool. But $32,000 to start is a lot of money. I don't think that's the electronic shocks, which a lot of guys are gonna want. But you know, I get it. There's a lot of changes to the machine. New power steering, electric power steering is on the rack now, supposed to lower center of gravity. New DV dual valve system for the shocks, where it adjusts rebound and compression separately. Obviously the ride command, new map controls, like 3 map controls you could change from like rock to race to, there's different modes. I don't know exact modes, but so much more technology that the old models didn't have, and it's really nice to see that. And it comes with a price. I mean, you can't expect to pay the same for a Pro R that you did for your Turbo S. On the flip side of that, the Turbo R, the smaller wheelbase brother with the 1 liter turbocharged engine, that starts at around 26, and I think that's a fair price for what you're getting. It is still better in every way to the Turbo S, and very, very competitive to the X3 2-seat. Wheelbase is a little bit shorter than the X3, definitely shorter than the bigger brother, the Pro R, but I think it's in a good spot as far as being competitive with the X3. So I think the Pro R is in a class of its own. Will it win the races, outlaw races? Will it win, you know, races overall in, you know, sand drag, stuff like that? I don't think so. The X3 has it. But when it comes to long-term or best in the desert, Baja style, King of the Hammer style races, I wouldn't be surprised if it takes some podium finishes. It's very new. I'm sure it's gonna have some bugs, but for racing, I think it might be a contender. So is it the current king of the mountain when it comes to UTVs? I'm gonna say yes, with asterisk, based off you know, some things here and there. But I think generally it is the baddest machine out there right now. And personally, I can't wait to see what Can-Am answers with, and I can't wait to see when the speed comes out of the factory ready to go for the consumers. So guys, as I was editing this video, I know there's a bunch of stuff I didn't touch on, like the new alternator, which is a very, very welcomed addition. But what I did want to talk about is where these machines are going. So this new Pro R is set to be, obviously, like I said, a lot wider, a lot longer, a lot taller. And it's coming to the point where these machines are becoming full-fledged race cars. And I wanted to talk to you guys and tell you what you think. Should these machines be getting this big and this powerful? 2-liter engine, eventually we're gonna start hitting 300 horsepower. Are these cars a good idea for any rich guy to just go into the you know, the power sports market or dealer and purchase the high-end, you know, $45,000, 240 horsepower, whatever it may be in the future vehicle? They're gonna get bigger, they're gonna get badder, they're gonna be able to go through the terrain faster. I mean, I hear that some of these cars are going over in Baja, pre-running over 100 miles an hour. That's insane. And in the hands of consumers, you know, a lot of you guys can drive, but a lot of you guys can't drive for... I can only imagine going 100 miles an hour on a side-by-side. I mean, I've gone 70 over the whoops, and my car is shaking, and it gives me a little nervous, but I got the pedal to the middle. I can already imagine going, you know, 85 over the whoops, or going 100 in the desert period, whether it's, you know, smooth or not. So something to think about. I mean, should these machines be getting this fast and this crazy in the hands of average Joes that can just pick these up? Should there be some sort of, you know, class guys should take, like with some people that were buying Corvettes? You know, they were offering classes for these new Corvette owners to you know, learn their vehicle and learn the limitations of their vehicle and how to properly use it without, you know, cutting you off at Oldsmobile Hill.
Hey, fuck you, buddy.
So maybe something should be considered in that, you know, $40,000 package that you're paying for maybe a class on how to use your machine properly. Now, to prove my point, look at Canelo Alvarez, the pound for pound king, in my opinion, in boxing right now. One of my favorite fighters out there. He must not have good friends because they didn't show him how to use his belts on his Can-Am X3. Check this clip out. It's mind-boggling. Now, for one, he's not wearing a helmet, which kind of sucks because this guy's worth millions and is, you know, the golden boy, today's golden boy in boxing. And it kind of sucks that no one told him to at least use your belt properly. So you can see it's up here, it's not strapped on right on a side-by-side. So again, should these people be taught how to use their machine? I think so. Maybe give us freaking an hour class, whatever it may be. It is important for safety, especially how fast these machines are getting. I just wanted to add that in there. Let me know what you think. Back to the show. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I didn't touch on when it comes to this machine, but I just want to give you guys some, you know, overall thoughts on the machine. So there's a lot more to talk about, and I'm gonna check it out on the 23rd over at Bert's Mega Mall. Hopefully I get the date off to go check that out, and I'll give you guys more impressions when I see the machine in person, if it really is as beefy as it is. And I try to keep it real. I did that with the Speed UTV, and I was very impressed with the hardware and the size of the arms and the construction of the vehicle, with some caveats, I know. So I want to do the same thing for the Polaris. Is it the same kind of construction, overall materials, how they're designed, how it looks, how it feels in comparison to the Speed UTV? Because those are the two machines that are coming out with a big emphasis on strength. You know, Polaris showed off all these videos of the new R with all these upgraded components, the drive shaft comparisons to the old Turbo S, the hub comparisons to the old one, you know, so on and so forth. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Be nice to each other. There's always going to be those two camps, Can-Am and Polaris, going at it. And honestly, it shouldn't be like that because we're both going to win in the end. If you're a Polaris fanboy, you're going to win. You just did. This machine's crazy. If you're a Can-Am fanboy, don't sell your machine to buy a Pro R, because the Can-Am X3 is really amazing itself, and I'm sure Can-Am is going to come out with a competitor on top of that. They don't like to lose when it comes to the horsepower wars. They've been on top for a long time already, and I don't think they want to be under Polaris. So again, leave the comments down below. Like this video if you want to, but you should, because it takes a lot of time out of my day, and I try to give you guys my opinion. And if you watch this video, it's because you want to see my opinion, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in. On another note, I do want to tell you guys, since you guys stuck around this long in the video, we are going to ride on Thanksgiving with my Patreons. They know about the ride. If you're interested in that, go check out my Patreon. We're going to go ride in a undisclosed location. Only my Patreons know, but I appreciate you guys. New shirts coming to the website very soon. We're waiting for those dang makers over there over at the print shop to get those done for us, and they look sick. I can't wait to show you guys those. We got another design coming, actually with the Pro R as well. As far as stickers go, I think it's gonna be pretty cool as well. I'm excited for that, and just a lot of changes coming. I haven't been as active as I would like to be this week, mainly because I've been waiting for a new laptop. Had issues recording and editing. New laptop's coming. Costco's taking the sweet ass time, and I haven't got it yet. And on a last note, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to step up my Instagram game to get better, because we're doing better on YouTube than we are on Instagram, which is kind of funny. It's usually the opposite. So giveaway is still ongoing. Proline Raps, the last video, go check it out. Follow Proline Raps on their YouTube channel and enter to win on that video. Comment down below. And then one last thing, stay dirty. See you guys. Oh yeah, sneak peeks. I want to do this more often, where I'm showing you guys what I do at the house sometimes when I'm not making videos. And that's this new 21 Smart Shocks X3 that I got here at the house. Not a 22, it's a 21, but it's got 3 miles on it. They got the tags on it still. He's got all these nice parts installed, but poorly installed. And let me show you what I mean. Yeah, so self-explanatory on how horrible the wiring job is on this machine. I mean, look at the install for this chase light. How they did this bracket here. The freaking bolt is going into the cage. So that's terrible. But I am putting on a new cage and redoing all the wiring for this guy. He's gonna be very happy when I'm done with it, because it's not gonna look like that. And the rock lights are gonna be in the proper positions, not on the freaking bumper. I don't know what this guy was thinking, whoever installed it. So this thing is gonna look awesome when it's done. So I may just do a video on this, on the do's and don'ts for installing parts, as well as doing your research and finding a good installer. By the way, I am booked for the rest of the year, so don't comment or ask me about working on your machine. Although I appreciate it, it wouldn't be till like January. So we'll see you guys next one. Peace out. Bye-bye. Later. Love you guys.